being at Foothill allowed me to have some really, really good men as my coaches, really good role models. I remember as a sophomore, I needed money for something, and I asked Coach Permenter if he had any stuff I could do. And he said, yeah, sure, come over. So I rode my bike, felt like 5 miles to his house, uphill. And I mowed his lawn, and I did something else. And he tried to give me $5. And I was like, $5, coach? He's like, I'm just joking. And he handed me a 20. You know, he also, Coach Permenter, provided me with football cleats when I didn't have the money to buy stuff for myself. The story was that you got these cleats and somebody famous had wore them. And so he had told me that Herschel Walker, I'm not sure if you guys know who Herschel Walker is, he was a very talented running back out of the University of Georgia, that he got these cleats from Georgia, and Herschel Walker wore these cleats. And I was like, hell yeah. And then it probably took me, 3 years to realize that Herschel Walker didn't wear a size 10 ever, probably until he was like, 7th grade or something, and that I was not wearing Herschel Walker's cleats. But it didn't matter because I felt like I was wearing Herschel Walker's cleats at the time. Coach Ezel would also do really nice things for you if you needed something. He was always there to help you out. He always had an extra shirt or an extra hat or extra jacket. If he saw that you were cold, he would give it to you. Coach Ted Oliver, who was a really, really big influence on a lot of things that I ended up doing later, was really hard and strict and firm, but also very caring. And a couple times when my ride didn't show up, he gave me a ride home. And that may not seem like that much, but walking that 2 miles home, at 10 o'clock at night after on a cold Thursday, it just made all the difference in the world for me. I'm trying to think of any other coaches. I think those are the coaches. That's the extent of it. I had Coach Rick Morrell, who was our linebacker coach, who was always a great guy. He was also very good. He was sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, and so I had the code to his back gate, and so we go in and steal beer from him. And he knew we were stealing it, and so one day he confronted us and said, hey, at least leave me a 6-pack, all right? Because we would go in the back and just take as much of the beer that was in his garage as we wanted, which was all of it, And then Coach Jim Wooster was my linebacker coach, who was a fiery, just a beast of a man. And I ended up playing rugby, and Jim had played rugby on the same team, 20 years before. And they have what's called an old boys game where the older guys will play the new team and play, and it's very spirited. And there's been a lot of fights in those games, which is really awesome. But I remember the first time I ran the ball, Jim cheap shotted me with an elbow right to my nose and just blew it up. And I was like, what the hell, coach? And he's like, hey, you're a man now, let's go. I was like, okay, got it. I didn't do anything back to him. I had too much respect for him. But I always kept my eye where he was, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'm done.